with Section 5, the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board, designed for that purpose, and notice was transmitted to the official newspapers provided by resolution adopted January 7th, 2023. Meeting notice has been continually posted on the Borough website. May I have a roll call?
Yes, Mayor. Council President Morgan?
Here.
Councilwoman Phillips?
Here.
Councilman Addison?
Here.
Councilwoman Russo?
Here.
Councilman Pagan?
Here.
And Councilwoman Haran?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you. Begin with our caucus session. First discussion will be annual renewal of dental and vision coverage for active full-time and retired employees.
So we have Dave Weiss here from Hardenberg Insurance. We circulated some information around to everyone on council.
Good everyone. Hi everyone. Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman, Councilman. Did everyone have a chance to review the stuff that I said, I guess, last week?
Yeah, I forwarded it to everybody.
Okay. I did provide folders as well for everybody. You want me to pass them out?
Sure, that would be great.
Thank you. So your annual dental and vision renewal is for November 1st. And both the vision received a 3-year rate pass, and your dental with Horizon coverage was a flat renewal. So there's no cost increase, no changes in coverage or whatnot. But we did take a liberty and shop out the dental. And Delta Dental, they've come in pretty favorably. There is about an 8.5% savings, which year over year is about $4,500 savings to Hattie Heights. If they chose to move forward, the network is really good. It's very comparable with Verizon. So the rate of change in coverage, the only change would be changing carriers, and there's never a complete match with providers. So in terms of, there's a potential savings for, like I said, $4,500, but you don't have to do anything. If you choose to do nothing, then again, you'll see no cost increase to the borough or to the employees. So I guess in terms of recommendation, it's always just a matter of weighing pros and cons. There is savings, which is great in my line of work. The con is disruption for the staff, for the employees and their family members. As again, it's not an identical network. There could be some people that are upset with the change, and there could be some people that are pretty happy with the change. So ultimately, I always kind of leave it up to my clients and to, who we represent. And I kind of, I guess, defer and ask questions and answer questions. So with that, any questions, comments, jokes?
Can you come to my work and get the same presentation? They need it.
Absolutely. Again, you're never going to get 100% happiness or whatnot. But, the Delta quote is good. Delta's great. It's a reputable carrier. So is Verizon.
If I recall correctly, last year when we had this conversation, we were faced with almost an identical question.
Yes.
And at that point, if I recall correctly, I asked, because we ultimately stayed with our existing plan, even though it was slightly more expensive, and I don't think it was just a disruption. There was, I guess, not so much a concern, but there was, I guess, risks of unknowns making the switch. And I'm not sure if Delta Dental was the other carrier
It was.
at that
It was.
time.
It was.
Last year was the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So would your recommendation change from last year based on, because, just based on what you thought, Dental Dental is a very reputable carrier.
It is.
I think it's got a pretty, at least as far as dental offices, I think that it's probably at least comparable, if not more extensive than the other plan. So is there a recommendation from you one way or the other?
No, I mean, I hate saying no, I have no recommendation. My recommendation is if you, maybe do a poll of your staff and say, are people happy or, unhappy with Verizon?
Well, I mean, because look, if you're telling me the only con is the headache of a brief transition time, then, then I think the year after year cost savings would win out. If you can give me another reason for why we should stay, I'm happy to hear.
So when I say disruption, it's not just the administrative burden of that. There's, if you have 60 employees and retirees and, family members, let's say maybe 2, again, not every network is the same. So some provide, yes, the Delta Dental network is very extensive. We love Delta Dental. It's one of the carriers that we recommend. Delta and Verizon, New Jersey are 1 and 1A in no order. So when I say that, it's more, it takes a handful of people whose providers do participate with Verizon and don't participate with Delta. Now, again, you still have out-of-network access, but there could be some people that pay a little bit more out of pocket with Verizon or with Delta versus Verizon. So when I say, savings is great. Anytime we can offer something that's cheaper, that's comparable technically, we do recommend it. However, again, there's disruption and some employees could be hurt by them. That's why I say that.
When you say hurt, you mean they just gotta find a new dentist?
Yeah, or pay a little bit more in pocket. They don't even have to change. They could pay a little
If
bit
they
more.
stay with their current provider.
Correct,
But it looks like otherwise it's like match for all services.
correct. So that's why, yes.
Go ahead, that's why.
I was just gonna say, to
Sorry, I
us,
didn't mean
we're happy with whatever you choose to do. Besides the not 100% match in providers, we love Delta. It's probably the #1 name in terms of dental carriers in the Northeast.
Can you tell us how many years we've been with Verizon?
I did not look to see that, but it's been at least 5 or 6. They've been with Verizon.
Yeah.
So we're not changing, if we were to make a change, it wouldn't be like, it's not every 2 years, it's every 3 years. We've been with them for a solid period of time, and if we, assuming in similar annual savings, we would have saved the town, like $20,000.
Correct.
We multiply that over 5 years.
I can at least attest to last year over this year, so you'd be looking at, let's say 9,000 if you decide to stay with Verizon versus this year.
And do you know what any similar towns to us are doing? Like, are they typically sticking with Verizon or sticking with Delta, or have you heard anything about similar experiences for the area?
That is a good question. The townships I represent are all over the map. Some have MetLife, some have Principal. In terms of comparability of providers, I can say that Delta and Verizon are the top 2.
That's helpful, thank you.
So, but outside of that, I can also say MetLife and Guardian have extensive networks with providers. Yes.
The question was asked a few years ago, would someone lowball it in year 1 just to get the account and then up it the next couple of years? I remember we had that discussion here about that. Do you see that here?
I do see that in dental a lot because they're trying to buy your business. So I see that a lot of times with I was just telling somebody before, I've seen a lot of times that carriers in all lines of coverage from dental, especially medical, where carriers are trying to get into the business. And then if it's not profitable for them, or if they, let's say, undercut 10%, you are going to see it in year 2 or year 3.
Because I know, I'm knowing the mayor and council, I've seen them argue over $4,000 before quite often.
Yeah.
So I get that part of it, they are looking for the savings, and if it's just an inconvenience, but we could save 4,000, that's one thing, but if it's, I'll play to maybe get the business, and we're gonna end up in the same spot anyway and have to go through the convenience, I think that might sort of open their eyes a little bit too. And you're saying that that's a possibility that could be occurring.
Does Delta do that? They all do that.
But they don't see what we're currently paying, right?
They do.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they look at a full,
So they get-
every,
They look at your usage too.
they don't have exactly your usage, they have some information, they have all your demographics, but they're not taking that solely into accordance.
And we bear that same risk with Verizon, and next year, both carriers will still be in play, right?
Correct. That is true, absolutely.
And so if Delta decides to raise their rates on us next year, we can see what Verizon has to offer them.
Yes,
Verizon's rates have remained
yeah, I have that,
static for the last,
I want to say 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, several years.
This is hard.
Right, that's why I say I don't really have,
Yeah.
you know, one answer for another.
We need-
$4,000 is $4,000.
we need an answer regarding the dental vitamins that way.
So your policy is 11-1.
Okay, so we have 2 meetings.
Yeah, actually,
in
have
October,
2
we make
meetings.
decisions.
Mhm.
Would that possibly explore this more between our employees and the finance committee?
Paul sounds good. Just asking.
What, a poll?
See if their providers are in the other net, in the Delta network, that's the answer to the question. Ones they go to.
Yeah, I mean, can we ask our employees who they use, you know, what
Well, you could ask
office,
them.
what dental office and what coverages they do? That's a lot of.
My recommendation is always have people call their provider and say, do you accept it? Because they all accept it, they all process the insurance through all the carriers. Do you participate in the Delta PPO network?
Yeah.
So like my dentist, for example, doesn't take really any insurance, but they'll process it and I'll get a large bill. Because I need a lot of dental. Only because I need a lot of dental.
Or new dentist.
Well, yeah, you're on my
Takes
team.
insurance.
Gotta tell you.
And I think the
These kids are
I think
anywhere
it's
from
all over the
finance,
place for where
Education,
people go.
colleges.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't- It's not like
Any
one off.
other questions that I can help with or answer for the Delta? And for the Vision, there's another.
Vision was
rate cap for
flat.
3 years.
Yes.
So you've been with Superior, I want to say for 4 years.
Mhm.
I know there was some bumps in the road early on. I think it's been minimal ever since.
Yeah, yeah, and it's flat. It's a flat renewal.
So for an additional 3 years.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? You're welcome.
Has Verizon, did they just say for the 1 year or,
I will send that, I want to double check.
Okay.
I don't want to say there was a rate pass longer than the 1 year until,
I think in the past it was a couple of years.
in the past it was.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just double check. I don't want to
Okay.
assume anything. I know you've all gotten into trouble by assumptions. So, but I will send an email following the meeting, to find out if it was beyond this year or if it was just for this 1 year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, moving on, in focus, proposed 2024 meeting dates. So I've circulated those dates. You'll notice the only adjustments are Wednesday, June 5th, which is due to primary election. Tentatively Wednesday, August 7th for National Night Out, due to National Night Out. Wednesday, November 6th, due to the general election, and Monday, November 18th, business meeting due to the League of Municipalities that week. Thoughts, comments, questions, council members?
Thanks, Kelly.
So there's-
Same schedule in terms of regular, the
Yes,
first and third.
first and third Tuesdays. And again, for the month of August, 1 meeting.
And my fault, I failed to point out, January 6th would be, Saturday, January 6th would be our reorganization. It is, like, mine's like 2 years ago, we had that weird thing where first Saturday fell.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody can take a look at it. It's just, I'm just putting it out there to everybody and, we don't actually formalize this until reorg.
Right.
But in case anybody had any ideas or thoughts on anything different.
You put my birthday on there?
You want a council meeting on your birthday?
There is one by mine.
Yeah.
You got 3 birthdays.
I'll bring cupcakes.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Halloween trick or treating hours.
So I just found out from Councilman Pagan that there might have been some discussion about changing what is in the borough code. So what we have, or not what's in the borough code, but maybe for this year, we have the regular curfew hours on October 30th, Monday, 9 p.m. for persons 18 years of age or older. And then treating hours on Halloween would be 3 to 5. We've always had a dinner hour from 5 to 6. That's somewhat controversial, I think. And then picks up again for 6 to 8. So we have a resolution on there for those dates, which is what's in the code. That doesn't necessarily have to be what you all decide to do. So that's basically it. I don't know if there were any other thoughts on anything other than that.
Yeah, I was asking, I guess the question out to the council is if we'd be willing to get, or interested in getting rid of the dinner hour and just revising that resolution to have trick-or-treating hours from 3 till 8. And I think residents would always have the option to, if they wanted to have a dinner hour, turn off their lights, close their doors. I think that's a universal sign that you're,
Yeah.
Leave your bowl of candy out.
Yep.
Right.
or not. I don't know, it felt like a pretty reasonable change, I know, but
I support it. I mean, I think people can do their dinner hour if they want to, or during it, or when they want
That's
to.
good to go home and come back out.
it's tricky with young kids.
I think it's ignored.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I feel rude
Doesn't matter.
doing it, so,
And to be honest with you, people kind of ignore that anyway.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's just make a policy, change that.
Okay,
So eliminate the dinner hour.
so eliminating the dinner hour, trick-or-treating hours from 3 to 8 p.m.
Yes,
You
thank you,
You
sorry for the last
mentioned a
minute.
curfew for.
Curfew the night before,
Okay.
9 p.m. for persons 18 years of age or younger.
Is that the, Mischief Night and
Yes.
Halloween?
Just mischief night. Well, actually, we do have both nights. I'm sorry, both nights is 9 p.m.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
All right. Moving on, we have New Jersey League of Municipalities.
Okay, so just mentioning to everyone, the annual 108th Annual League Conference is going to be held in Atlantic City, November 14th through November 16th. If anyone is interested in registering, please let me know, and I'd be happy to do so.
All 108? Makes sense.
And that's really all.
You're a fixture. Wonderful. All right.
I mean, so we allow, like, when we do the meeting dates, I make it on that Monday so that everybody has the opportunity.
Right.
I mean, we don't have to do that. I go because I go,
No, right, but
my,
many of our employees go. down
Yes,
there.
our
So you guys
employees
get
do
your
go.
CEUs, you attend
Yes.
sessions. I typically would attend as well.
yeah, you usually attend.
I
so
do, that's it.
You can't do it this year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay, and that's it on that.
All right, moving on, we have finally pedestrian improvements at the intersections of Station Ave, East and West Atlantic. Councilwoman Russo.
Thanks, Mayor, and I'll try to keep this pretty quick, but I have received a number of questions and comments about the construction that's coming. So there's a variable message sign that's located at the intersection of White Horse Pike and Station Avenue, indicating that construction is coming. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there. For many, many, many years, long before I was on council, there were concerns about safety for pedestrians. It was identified as part of our Safe Routes to School plan, as well as safety for vehicle traffic at the intersection of Station and East and West Atlantic. There has been a design that has been proposed, and Camden County has undertaken that design for bump outs on all 4 corners of East and West Atlantic, as well as a protected bicycle lane and a small raised median, so not dirty barrier median, more like cobbles in the median area. So in addition, they have coordinated with the link trail that's proposed to go through town. There's been coordination with Conrail. So this has been a large effort to get to this point. I'm really, really excited about it because of the potential for safety improvements. Just so desperately needed in this core of our town. Construction right now is scheduled to begin October 9th, but that date could move forward or backward depending on weather, depending on a whole bunch of different things. And in general, identified to wrap up by the end of the year. We're still learning about some of the detours associated with this plan, and we will communicate that to our residents as much as we can through the coming weeks. But I wanted to at least put it out there for everybody to have a moment to comment on it or ask any questions about it. I probably put it with our member report, but I felt like it deserved its own time and space to kind of talk through. So if anybody has anything to add, any additional information I may have missed, feel free. But we're still learning about detours and what traffic flow will look like for the center of town. The first phase of the construction will be the underground sewer and utility work, is my understanding. And then they'll start to kind of build back up on top. So it'll be a lot of movement. It is not going to be probably easy or painless, but I think the end result is really going to be worth it. We're just going to try to communicate as much as we can, talk through all what's hopefully keep seeing that way.
Yeah, pictures.
Of the final,
We have a visual guide.
I know, so I was looking for a good graphic. So there's actually one that I have from the retrospect from a number of years, but it's been tweaked and it's not the final version. So I don't know if it's appropriate to necessarily share that because it really isn't exactly what's final.
I don't believe it's on the county website either, because I
It's
went
not.
there to get it, to try to steal it, to put it on our
It's pretty
website.
close to that grant.
Okay, so I can pass this down.
It's pretty close to that grant, but modified for the link trail and modified for the final engineering plus the Splinter Islands. But generally, it's bumping out where the act grades are now, where you see the brick in the pavement, that is sort of at the same level as the asphalt. That's all going to be raised to actually true bump outs. That was a pilot program. Things are different these people. So that was a pilot program with the county to see if act grade had any effect. It did not have the effect that was hoped for, and that's why it's going to be the full bump out, old-fashioned, pedestrian safe extensions of the curbway with the brick. But it's generally in that configuration.
Where will the Splinter Islands be?
Splinter Islands will be going across, not at the rail crossing, but going across from Atlantic, East Atlantic to West Atlantic, the channel, the lanes that go across the railroad tracks. So hopefully to avoid people making their own lanes as they do now.
But they are somewhat mountable for emergency vehicles, buses, so it provides a visual. It's similar,
Grove Street.
Grove Street and Hatfield.
Mhm.
Lab and Churchill.
Yeah.
So-
Fire truck can get through.
Fire
Yes,
trucks,
fire truck.
tractor trailers, anybody can get through if necessary.
Okay.
So like if you need, someone breaks down and you need to drive around, you could drive over it, but it's uncomfortable for a car at 25 miles an hour to go over, and that's the intention. So it's fully mountable, fully transversible, but again, if people are riding 25 miles an hour in cobblestone, it's uncomfortable, and that's the intention.
And this can have as much of the pedestrian, first, not pedestrian, the bicycle, the bicycles are separated, so they're on the inside and protected by some more of that,
It's going to be significant improvement.
yeah.
Significant improvement, but it's going to be uncomfortable. And if I may, and I mentioned this to Councilman Russo, it's going to be similar in the discomfort that we felt when we were able to get Conrail and the DOT to do the soft grade crossing on the railroad tracks, where we pretty much had everything shut down for over a week there. People were going to have to find alternate routes, but look at the end result. Look at that safety improvement, and this is going to be right up there with the same sort of impact.
And I think that, yeah, those closures and the closures that are anticipated or the impacts to traffic are gonna be most significant in the beginning when they're doing that underground utility work, because,
Be prepared that it will be uncomfortable for the whole process.
okay, yeah, all right.
Any of the businesses get impacted by the construction? Besides the-
All businesses will be open, so they're gonna have to make accommodations, use the municipal parking lot behind, the businesses on the 500 block and walk through, Johnson Alley. So we're not gonna be impacting specifically shutting down any businesses, but, we're gonna be working in the roadway. We're not gonna be taking away, access to any business, but right at the curb line, they're gonna be coned off and, barricaded off.
There will be pedestrian access in some capacity through the intersections at all times. Really appreciative of Camden County coming and doing this project, as it is so needed. Also grateful, or wondering, many thanks to the police department, specifically our chief, Steve Bach and Bach Engineers, for helping us to coordinate this construction as it proceeds. There's been a lot of coordination. We're really trying to do our best for the residents through this process. You know, it's gonna be tricky.
Okay, that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
I know drainage has been a hot topic as of, the summer. Will this affect anything that's already in place?
This design was led based on the schematics that we prepared on behalf of the borough several years ago. We were fortunate enough, and Councilman Russo was there the whole time with us through the entire design process. We pointed out very specifically I think they're about 10-year-old drainage improvements that Camden County performed on that section of roadway based on borough recommendations. We did the design, the borough did the design, they did the improvements, and that made it much better for flooding. None of these improvements will impact those 10-year-old improvements.
Cool.
So we were very detailed in the workshop discussions to make sure what they were doing was not going to impact how it operates right now, which is, over the last 10 years, better than it has since the railroad was installed 100 years ago. So, knock on wood.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Russo. Thank you, Steve. All right, seeing nothing else for our caucus session, we'll recess from the caucus session and commence with our business session. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. I'll now open it up for public comment on caucus and agenda items only. That's caucus and agenda items only. So if you'd like to comment on something on the caucus or the agenda, please step up to the microphone now, state your name and address for the record. Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Brian Bertoletta. I live at 2031 Maple Avenue. And I was just curious if there's any interest about the flooding that recently occurred on the 9th and the 10th. I know there's myself, my car got flooded. There's at least 7 other people on this little strip of street. Their cars got flooded as well. That strip of street was recently redone, paving, sewage work done. Obviously, it didn't hold up to what just happened weather-wise. So I was just curious if there's any interest in this topic, the hot topic of flooding recently.
Yeah, so what I love was our engineer Steve Fox to speak just a little bit about the work that was previously done on Maple Ave. Somebody notified me of the post. I did reach out to Ms. Hodge, I believe, who had shared some videos, and we spoke a little bit about it. We've been speaking with we're going to plan to speak with the legislative district, the county, to talk about some of the continued flooding in the area. And a study we did 2 years ago, I think, with Haddonfield and Barrington regarding stormwater management. So, but I'll turn it over to Steve real quick.
And I won't belabor and I won't go into too much engineering detail. So Maple Avenue was the part of the was part of a roadway project. We had 4 existing inlets. They were all the old city inlets, the least amount of capacity for inlets or drains in the curbways. They were replaced with 6 Type B inlets, and the reason they were replaced with 6 Type B inlets, there's an existing outlet pipe from that low area, because the road dips down, that goes all the way out to the abutment of the 295 on-ramp. So that means it's a little bridge over part of the Little Tipper Creek. So our pipe that comes from our street goes out there, and I believe it's either a 30 or 36 inch. So the size of it is fixed. We made the inlets match the capacity that pipe can handle, meaning the most it can flow. During normal times, it's flowing the max that pipe can handle. During that storm event, and also we understand from previous storm events, but during that storm event, 2 weeks ago? Week and a half ago. That pipe that goes into the stream under the Putnam Bridge of 295 was submerged because that whole area of 295 was in 2 feet of water, and all those streams were over top of the banks. And that's been, we also represent Belmar, and we were called out for those flooding issues. Unfortunately, that pipe, if it's underwater on where it discharges out to the stream, it's not going to flow, no matter what we do there. So we're limited in terms of these major storm events. No matter how many inlets we put out on the street, and even if we added more pipes going out to a stream, if it's going into a flooded stream, it's not going to flood. And that's the limitation what we have there. But I can report that what was done is the maximum amount of drainage that we can do on our borough property or our borough right away to get it out there. But these large storms like this one and the one we had a few 4th of July weekends ago, if Little Timber Creek and the 295 corridor is flooded, we're going to suffer. And I'm sorry. Thank you.
One other thing I wanted to suggest, the recycling trash bins, the township could upgrade to something that has lids, because since now we no longer can bag up our recyclables. Recycling day, if it's windy out, there's trash everywhere on my lawn, just all over, it looks horrible. Speaking with neighbors, that was an idea that could cause flooding, clogging up sewage.
Yes, well, you're right.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? I'm not seeing any other public comment. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the September 5th, 2023 work session. I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the September 5th, 2023 work session. Motion by Councilwoman Russo. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Council President Morgan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained?
Abstain.
An abstention by Councilman Dakota. Moving on, we have the council member reports. Start down here, Councilman Pagan.
It was a busy summer, and I actually don't have anything to report as a lot of meetings and everybody's away on vacation. The only thing we do have, I will say, is there was talk about a Halloween event, and there's currently people volunteers for something that doesn't exist. But we'll get to the bottom of that. And I'm in the pre-planning stage for the holiday parade, which remind me to ask you a question there.
Yes.
Can I angle that thing now? In the reports.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think you can ask it.
The construction, will that affect anything in December?
In May,
Not in December.
in May.
Last, it'd be the last Friday in November, or actually 24th, right? 24th.
It would be prudent to pick an alternate route, get everybody comfortable with the alternate route. We could be paving all the way up till Christmas, possibly, depending on their construction and the weather. So I think it might be prudent to possibly look at alternate routes.
Oh, man.
Great question.
Hey, thank you.
Councilwoman Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a report from Fire Chief Hales related to August. There were 13 calls in Haddon Heights, 20 calls in Barrington, 6 calls to mutual aid, 1 call to the highway, for a total of 40 calls. Average firefighters per call is 5, which is great. We continue to see success from the merger of the Haddon Heights and Barrington Fire Departments. We actually had a meeting last night. The mayor and I and Councilman Onison met with Barrington, we met with Chief Hales, and we met with our fire captain to discuss the future of the shared service agreement, and everybody was in agreement that things are going extremely well, and we have every intent to renew the agreement going forward. So that has been a very positive thing. And I believe Councilman Onison is going to handle police for me, so I'll skip over that. Redevelopment continues to progress. We are actually in the process of finalizing the redevelopment plan with Broken Ground Properties. The plan was prepared by our redevelopment planner. It went to them. They gave some feedback. We reviewed the feedback, and we have a meeting scheduled with them next week. From there, it will go before the planning board, and then we also have to negotiate a redevelopment agreement that would go before council. So we're getting to the finish line for those things. So we're very excited about that first redevelopment project, and hope we can see that come to fruition, or at least start maybe by the end of the year. So that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Council President Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report this month.
Councilman Onison.
Okay, on the Devon Avenue, remediation project, just got an email, from Woodward and Kern. Todd Cooper's been, going back with, Rachel Stopper of the state DEP, trying to clarify, the remaining questions that she had, so hopefully we can get the, grant approval done. It's been kind of a slow process, but it looks like there's some action on that lately, so hopefully we'll follow within 30 days on that. On Shade Tree, Julie has put out letters to our target recipients for trees for the fall planting. I've got 25 trees I'm holding, maple trees. So we'll hopefully finish up Maple Avenue with those, and then we got another 45. We're gonna put the sycamores on Sycamore Street. That's appropriate. And then I'm holding another 20 large sycamores we're gonna put around the school, and probably some maybe at Glenview. We're planting ourselves. And then there was activity, New Jersey Department of Transportation was doing some tree work on Route 30. So they alerted us to it at the beginning of the month, and Mike Madden, Steve Dorsey, and Dave Trashy met with them. There are some trees that are in need of removal and others that really weren't, so we're trying to get those trees trimmed, although having been taken down. So it doesn't change the, the outlook when people drive right now. So that's kind of in flux right now. We're going to discuss that at our meeting at the end of the month. And then the library had the problem with the air conditioning system with the fan leak. They patched it, so it's up, I think it's up and running. But something we'll probably have to look at for capital improvement in the next year or two, because it's pretty old. So we should probably get prices, look at that for our next year's budget. And police, for the month of, September, this is for August, because we didn't do August. We had 7,715 miles on patrol, 1,012 calls for service, 12 arrests, 7 accidents, and 88 motor vehicles summonses were issued. We also had a very successful, very nice National Night Out. Officer Zapati was in charge of that. They had face painting, touch the truck, popcorn, ice cream, fighting contests, games, giveaways, and more. It was well attended, and I think everybody had a great time. Then for the month of, the next month, we had 4,887 miles driven, 1,017 calls for service, 20 arrests, 17 accidents, and 124 motor vehicle summons issued. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Oz.
Also, we're gonna get back in and work on the police contract on the next 30 days.
Councilwoman Russo.
Thanks, Mayor. So a couple of quick things, some with regard to engineering. So Lake Drive paving, especially are progressing quite nicely with paving over on Lake Drive. So that should be wrapping up in the next few weeks. On Kings Highway, they are going to be starting some construction, kind of starting at the Sons of Italy. They are coordinating with our project at the station in Atlantic, so they're going to be pushing through. This is the New Jersey American Water service.
Maybe.
Yeah, main replacements. They're starting at Sons of Italy, and they're going to be working their way down. They will be coordinating into construction projects to eliminate overlap. And then last but not least, Public Works, I heard that we will be renting a machine to grind up stumps in the spring of 2024. So that was a question that had been asked. So I just wanted to convey that back to council.
Thank you, Councilwoman Russo. And Councilwoman Moran.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report.
All right, mayor's report. The spaghetti dinner this past weekend was a big success, beautiful weather, great turnout. Neighbors, had a night to a neighbors night out. There's two organizations I was confused the two, but neighbors night out. Did a phenomenal job once again, in conjunction with Sons of Italy, so great event. Everybody had a lot of fun. Sipping on Station, a HIP event is this weekend. Love to see everybody out there. It's a great event, draws a lot of attention to our downtown, to our businesses. So once again, talking about businesses, we have a number of shuffling of businesses on the downtown here. So we have Helen Merz Photography that just went in across the street, took the location of the old piano. Was that a lesson, I guess?
Yeah, cool.
Piano school, yeah. And Rose the Rails did a phenomenal job taking over the space next door at April Robbins. We took over half the space. It looks phenomenal. I think it's great. It's really great job. We love welcoming the new businesses, and obviously the old businesses, just revitalizing their storefront. New side of Devon. I just have to continue to bring accolades to that group that worked through that project. The fields look great. The kids have been playing on them. Soccer team has been playing on them, and it's holding up really well. Thanks goes out to obviously everybody from Steve Box office, to Dave Tarashi, DPW, and the soccer club and the high school for working together on that project. And I just want to call attention to two accolades that we received. One was for the improvements, the final improvements made to 11th Ave, to fix the flooding that was occurring after the road construction. It's not every day that we get accolades after complaints, but we received some accolades on finalizing that, and it was a lot of appreciation there. Also, from Angela Scola for Safe Routes to Schools, was praising the work that we finally did on Devon Ave, finishing the sidewalk all the way down to the fields. It's a huge pedestrian improvement because all summer long, kids are using that route to go to the Paddock Club Swim Club, the fields, and they'll continue using the spring and fall. So that was a long time coming. I think I made that promise on behalf of you, Steve, in 2020, and we finally got it done. So, and I know Dave was influential on that and helped us secure the easement for that sidewalk, I think, right? So I have to pass along those accolades. That's all I have. Moving on. unfinished business, we have public hearing and final adoption of ordinance 2023-1533, an ordinance in the Borough of Haddon Heights, amending Article 25 of the Zoning and Land Development Code to add a new section 450-164.1 entitled Affordable Housing Development Fees. May I have a motion to open the public hearing portion of ordinance 2023-1533.
Russo, so moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Russo, may I have a second?
Fagan, second.
Seconded by Councilman Fagan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. The public hearing portion of ordinance 2023-1533 is now open. If you'd like to make a comment, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Not seeing any public comment, may I have a motion to close the public hearing portion of ordinance 2023-1533. Motion by Council President Morgan, may I have a second?
Phillips, second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Phillips. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. And now have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-1533, ordinance of the Borough of Haddon Heights, amending Article 25, the Zoning and Land Development Code to add a new section 450-164.1 entitled Affordable Housing Development Fees. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Addison. May I have a second?
Fagan, second.
Second by Councilman Fagan. May I have a roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Council President Morgan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Addison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Haran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we have public hearing and final adoption of bond ordinance 2023-1534, a bond ordinance authorizing various roadway improvements in Borough of Haddon Heights, County of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating a sum of $93,130, therefore authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes in the Borough of Haddon Heights, County of Camden, New Jersey, in the notes of the Borough of Haddon Heights, County of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $88,473, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. May I have a motion to open the public hearing portion of bond ordinance 2023-1534.
Phillips, so moved.
Motion by Councilman Phillips, may I have a second?
Fagan.
Second by Council President Morgan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. Public hearing portion of ordinance 2023-1534 is now open. If you'd like to make a comment, please state your name and address for the record. Not seeing any public comment, may I have a motion to close the public hearing portion of ordinance 2023-1534?
Motion by Fagan.
Motion by Councilman Fagan, may I have a second?
Russo?
Seconded by Councilwoman Russo, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2023-1534, a bond ordinance authorizing various roadway improvements in the Borough of Haddon Heights, County of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating a sum of $93,130, therefore authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes in the Borough of Haddon Heights, County of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $88,473, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Council President Morgan, may I have a second?
Russo, second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Russo, may I have a roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Council President Morgan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Addison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Haran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving to new business, we have ordinance 2023-1535, ordinance authorizing the renewal of pilot agreement with Haddon Heights Senior Citizen Housing Corp. for block 2301, lot 28. Public hearing and final adoption of this ordinance 2023-1535 is scheduled for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, at approximately 7 p.m. in the municipal building located here, 625 Station Avenue, Haddon Heights, New Jersey. I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2023-1535.
Phillips, so moved.
A motion by Councilman Phillips, may I have a second?
Fagan, second.
Seconded by Councilman Fagan. May I have a roll call vote?
Council President Morgan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Addison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance 2023-1535 will be at our first meeting in October, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Next, we have introduction of ordinance 2023-1536, an ordinance authorizing salaries, wages, and reimbursements to be paid to non-contractual employees of the Borough of Haddon Heights. The public hearing and final adoption of this ordinance, 2023-1536, is scheduled also for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, at approximately 7 p.m. in the municipal building located at 625 Station Ave, Haddon Heights, New Jersey. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance, please?
Addison motion.
Motion by Councilman Addison, may I have a second?
Pagan, second.
Seconded by Councilman Pagan, may I have a roll call vote?
Council President Morgan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Addison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haran.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And again, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance 2023-1536 will be our first meeting in October, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, at approximately 7 p.m. Next, we have resolutions 2023-161, resolution to close certain planning board escrow accounts and refund remaining balances. Resolution 2023-162, a resolution setting curfew and trick-or-treating hours for Halloween as per our discussion this evening. Resolution 2023-163, a resolution requesting the insertion of a special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality pursuant to NJSA 48:4-87, Chapter 159, PL 1948, Open Space Recreation Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund Grant, Fitzgerald Memorial Park Infield, Round 23. Resolution 2023-164, resolution authorizing a refund of the community center rental fee. Resolution 2023-165, resolution authorizing payment of bills and claims in the second half of September. And resolution 2023-166, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-12, matters related to personnel in the tax assessor's office. Discussion is expected to be about a half-hour duration. Formal action may be taken on the foregoing item following executive session. And we have one additional resolution to be introduced tonight. And I will read it, and then I will, I ask for motions, Steve,
If I may.
yeah, let me just read it real fast. And then we'll, resolution 2023-167, which everybody should have in front of them. It's a resolution of Borough of Haddon Heights requesting the New Jersey Department of Transportation to grant an extension of time to January 21st, 2024 for the award of the LA-2022 MA Haddon Heights Borough Reconstruction of St. Martin's Avenue project in the Borough of Haddon Heights, Camden County, New Jersey. Steve?
And quite simply, and this is not only the only town, I have two other towns where I'm doing this. I'm considering it an insurance policy. We have to October of this year to get an award of this project. It's actually advertised for bid, but also we need concurrence from the DOT. There's a hard deadline in October that if the concurrence is not there, the state has the right to rescind funding. I want to make sure we have this extension in place. We have to have this in by the end of the week to hit the 30-day deadline for the extension request. We're just asking for 3 months to make sure we do not jeopardize our funding for this portion of St. Martin's. So we're asking if that could be walked on this evening and passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion, please, for motion for the resolutions that I've
Motion by Pagan.
Motion by Councilman Fagan, and a second.
Russo, second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Russo. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Council President Morgan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Addison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Haran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open up for public comment. That's public comment on anything at all. Not seeing any public comment, we'll close the public comment portion and we will recess into our executive session. All right, motion to come out of the executive session.
Motion by Pagan.
Motion by Councilman Fagan. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Phillips. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, thank you. Not seeing anything to act on, could I have a motion for adjournment?
Yes, go ahead.
Motion by Councilman Addison, may I have a second?
Pagan, second.
Seconded by Councilman Fagan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.